Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to the Operation Freedom Health and Wellness series featuring the top naturopathic physician in our country, if not the world, Dr. Peter Glidden. Pete and I have been doing this series for coming up on 6 years. 6 fun-packed years. And not only fun-packed, but censored. I give you, our audience, a lot of credit for being able to join us today because the Globalist cult Syndicate has done everything in their power so that you don't get the notifications, that the view counts are manipulated, that the comments are manipulated. You name it, they do it. And the reason is because we expose their underbelly as it affects your health and wellness. Now, there are a couple websites you need to be familiar with. OperationFreedomHealth.com. Chock full of information. Pete has provided a free video on that site about the 12 bad foods to avoid for your health and wellness, something you'll never hear through the medical industrial complex. Number 2, the products we discuss. There's no sense discussing products that will help you if you don't have availability to them and cost-effective availability. So, OperationFreedomHealth.com does have the products we discuss. They're available for you there, along with further descriptions and information. And because of the adverse effects of Bidenomics on your financial well-being, what we've done is we have a 10% discount on the entire order with the coupon code FREEDOM when you check out. OperationFreedomHealth.com. Now, there's another site you need to be aware of. LeavingBigPharmaBehind.com. This is Dr. Glidden's site. His books are featured there, information is featured there, and his subscription service is featured there, which, again, focuses on your health and your well-being and information that you will never get through the medical industrial complex. Now, look, we're coming up on, I don't know, what do you want to call it? An installation operation coming up in November. It is being run by the Syndicate, the Globalist cult, whatever you want to call it, Deep State, New World Order crowd, Criminal International Banking Syndicate, all the same. They are focused on undermining your health. And if you don't believe me, we got to be careful. We got to be careful what we say here. But if from 2019 on is not an indication about how they want you sick, and how they really don't want you around, I don't know what's going to wake you up. 99% of the people you know are completely unaware of the information Pete and I are going to discuss today. And that's where you come in. Take this information, take this video, and network it to all those you know and love, because they will never get this information from their doctors. They will never get this information through the media. They will never get this information from whatever newspaper or magazine or radio station they listen to, other than possibly Wham Talk 1600. The topic today is how to undermine the globalist hit, and it is a hit, in every side of this word, hit on your health. Now, Pete, in addition to being a fan, as I said, one of the top naturopathic physicians, is also a great author. Everybody is sick, and I know why. It's the name of one book. The other book, Attempt to Cure with Holistic Medicine. It's my honor to welcome back Dr. Peter Glidden. Pete, welcome back.
Thanks for the kind words, Dave. It's always a pleasure. Appreciate being here, as always. Look forward to it every other week.
As do I, and as do our listeners. Even though they try to block them under all costs of getting this information.
I don't know if I told you this before, Dave, but a buddy of mine just opened up a restaurant on the moon.
Oh.
I got to tell you something, man. The food is fantastic.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no atmosphere.
Kaboom. Shaboom. Remember to tip your waiters and waitresses, and remember the 10 o'clock show. So, Pete, let's talk about, and not conspiracy theory. It might be conspiracy, but it's conspiracy reality. Let's talk about the globalist hit on people's health and how they can undermine the globalist attack on every person of the world's, not an overstatement, every person of the world's health and wellness.
Okay, so it's funny that we should, or it's interesting that we should be talking about this now, because I'm the member of a 501c3 platinum rated, by the way, nonprofit organization called the Naturopathic Medicine Institute. And the charter of that organization is to teach naturopathic doctors how to practice naturopathic medicine because, oh, well, they weren't taught it in naturopathic medical school. One of naturopathic medicine's little ironies. And I was just interviewing once a month. I interview different members of the organization about what they do clinically and how they do it, by way of education. And so I was interviewing this guy who works in Spokane. His name is Jason Kinsley, naturopathic doctor in Spokane. And we were having a conversation about, well, one of the things that he does initially with all of his patients is he cleans their diet up. And he does that through a really interesting blood analysis that was actually developed by Nikola Tesla. It's called the Carroll Blood Spot Food Analysis. It's a fascinating diagnostic technique. And he cleans people's diets up. And, I said, well, what percentage of the time, and he does other things as well, but what percentage of the time just doing that do your patients have a remarkable recovery? He said about 33% of the time, just from don't eat these foods anymore and start eating these foods. That's all that they did, right? That there's a dramatic improvement.
Now that's what your
health.
10 bad foods video's about too.
100%.
Right.
And so this goes to the point, and I'm saying, well, don't you think it's a coincidence that the food that people eat is making them unhealthy? I mean, was that a coincidence? Or was that done on purpose? And without hesitation, so that was done on purpose. And I agree, right? We've got the 12 bad food list, and if you look at those foods, every single one of them is something that people eat all of the time. I mean, it's not like, kumquats.
No, right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not like it's these foods people eat all of the time, 3-4 times a day. And that if it was just one or two of the foods on that list that it was like that, well, okay. That's inside the realm of, possibility, right? Probability. But when all of the foods that people eat all of the time are bad for you, like in a significant way, not just in a minor way, but in a significant way, then that speaks to an organized situation. So, number one, the food that we eat is killing us slowly, like death by 1,000 cuts.
It's a toxin.
Yeah, yes. The foods that we eat cause inflammation.
Yeah.
There are toxins in them.
Yeah.
GMOs.
Yeah.
Pesticides. It's bad stuff, man. And, if you put diesel fuel into an unleaded engine, the car is going to run like crap if it runs at all. Well, it's much more so with the human body because it's a finely tuned race car, the human body, when you boil it right down to brass tacks. So when you unwittingly put the wrong fuel in the tank on a regular basis, you're going to mess things up. So that's the first step towards, the generation of disease. Step number 2 was to monopolize the medical marketplace, which happened in 1915. Through one of the few times in history that the Carnegies and the Rockefellers banded together towards a common goal, which was the hostile takeover of the medical market. So in 1915, Congress granted the AMA exclusive control over who could and who couldn't practice medicine here, and they kicked everybody else off the bus of medicine. Before 1915, there were 34 homeopathic hospitals in the country, and schools that taught homeopathic medicine. By 1920, they were all boarded up and closed. Chiropractors got kicked off, homeopaths got kicked off, naturopaths got kicked off, everybody got kicked off who wasn't an MD. And then, right, they passed a law. The only thing that can treat a disease is a drug. Okay. Then they formed the Food and Drug Administration, whose charter was then and is now to protect the pharmaceutical industry because it's, national security interest.
Right.
Right? They're too big to jail. They're too big to fail. Everybody needs what they sell. And so we must protect them at all costs. And I have to tell you that FDA is doing a bang-up job at that.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody who comes along with an alternative to the pharmaceutical method that actually works.
That's right. Bye-bye.
Adios, amigo.
Yeah.
So that's number 2, what they did. And then number 3, what they did is all of this financial stuff.
Yeah.
Right? So I think we pay 5 times as much for prescription drugs as they do in any other country.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That was all done through legislation. And now it's getting really bad with health management organizations and groups owning hospitals, right?
And the pharmacy benefit managers and the like, right? Middlemen that are taking huge chunks for providing nothing.
100% providing nothing. It's just throw a pill at it, throw a pill at it, throw a pill at it. Maybe we need some surgery. Oh, that one knee replacement failed. Okay, let's do it again.
Yeah.
Well, that one failed. Okay, let's do it a third time, and so forth and so on. So this has all led to a culture, right, where people get sick all of the time, not because they have a bad gene.
No.
Not because they have a voodoo curse.
No.
But because they're eating the wrong foods all of the time. And when they do get sick, the medical professionals that they go to are not trained in how to cure the condition. They're only trained in how to manage it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you can argue that, managing the heart condition is better than dying from the heart condition. Managing the blood pressure is better than dying from the high blood pressure. And I couldn't agree more. But wouldn't it be better once you've got it managed to try to cure it?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be a prudent idea as well? Well, it would be in a perfect, fair, free, and just society, but in a monopolized medical system, a patient cured is a customer loss. And so it's bad, man. I mean, the leading cause of bankruptcy in the U.S. is medical bills.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that? It's supposed to be the best medicine money has to offer, best medicine in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if it is, then why is it the leading cause of bankruptcy? Well, I'll tell you, because what's the most expensive type of medicine? It's the one that doesn't cure anything.
Chemo.
It's the one that manages everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, heartburn itself is never cured. It's managed. Nothing is cured. Maybe a strep throat here and there, a bacterial infection, bacterial pneumonia. You can cure that, kind of, sort of. But when you just manage illness your entire life, and it's going to go poorly for you. I mean, it's going to go poorly for you. And I just read a startling statistic. The average cost of management of diabetes,
mm-hmm.
$19,000 a year per patient. That's what it costs, $19,000 a year. That's, after your insurance premium. So it's $19,000 a year that the patient pays. Well, wait a minute, that's $19,000 a year that the medical industrial complex profits.
That's right.
But it's never spun that way.
No.
And so, this is the alarming cost. It's not the alarming profits, it's the alarming cost. And this, from the Department of Redundancy Department, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of this brought to you by a medical monopoly, which is so vast, so overpowering, and so long-lasting that most people are not even aware that it exists.
And the true fallacy, Pete, is that there are still many people that believe that, the government officials will fix this. No, actually, they're the cause of, they're the arsonists, and they're coming back to the fire. And what they're telling people is, let me help. And when they try to, quote, help, they pour more gasoline on the fire, right?
Because it is the paradigm itself. It is the current medical system which exists right now. I mean, it was during this administration, right?
Mm-hmm.
During the last 100 years of this medical monopoly, that chronic disease has escalated.
Mm-hmm.
Autism is through the roof. Alzheimer's is through the
Mm-hmm.
roof.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's sick, and I know why. All the time, everybody is sick. Leading cause of death, or the third leading cause of death, depending on how you crunch the numbers, is conventional medical treatment. Leading cause of bankruptcy. This all happened under the umbrella of the monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't take rocket science to scientists to figure out that it is the system itself which is at fault. You can't fix this problem inside of the system. You need to dissolve the current system and replace it with a new paradigm. And what's that new paradigm? Medical freedom.
So let's talk about that. The single most effective way, Pete, to undermine the globalist hit on every person's health, not just in our country but the world, is one, look at what you're eating.
Yeah, number one, clean up your diet 100%.
Number two, so people will say, okay, and I'm going to eat healthy. Well, that's great, but our soil in the world no longer has the mineral content to deliver what it once did 150 years ago, 200 years ago. And that was documented, correct, 100 years ago in Congress, when a report was presented to Congress as saying 100 years ago, hey, wait, the soil is depleted of minerals. People aren't getting what they need to. And of course, nothing happened.
Yeah, so Congress did nothing.
So we undermine the globalist syndicate's attack, getting rid of the 12 bad foods.
Right.
2, nutritionally, folks to become sound.
Yeah, it's mandatory. It's not optional. I mean, you have to drink water, you have to eat food, you have to breathe air, you have to put warm clothes on when you go out in cold weather, or you're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
You need to nutrify your body. I don't care how clean your diet is. I don't care how organic you are. Nutrification is mandatory because the soil doesn't have what your body needs, and there's no place on God's green earth that does that. So you must supplement your diet with nutrients.
Mm-hmm.
And the most effective nutrients I've seen in 36 years now of clinical work are the ones found in the Healthy Foundation Pack. It's a combination of 4 products. It gives you 100% of your essential nutrient needs. Remember, an essential nutrient. Your body needs it, can't make it. Your body needs calcium, can't make it, right? Body needs vitamin A, can't make it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There are 90 of those things that your body needs, can't make them. You got to throw those down the hatch on a regular basis. And if you don't, it's only a matter of time until you run out of many of them, and then things start to break.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to a medical doctor who doesn't know any of this, and they just throw a drug at it in order to manage the problem. And, you know, that's not the best way to do this.
No. No.
It's not the best way to do this. It's an inferior way to do this. But now the irony here is that in order to do this, in order to actually make your body healthy, to like start, you know, to jump onto the road of health and to start walking down it in real time, in actuality, not in theory, you don't need a private appointment with someone like me to figure out how to do that. You simply need to be told what to do.
That's right. And then do it.
And then do it.
Right.
So the healthier that you get, the stronger that you get, and you will respond to this. You clean your diet up and you start taking the nutrients, 83% of the time, there's a remarkable improvement.
And that was based on an investigation looking at 10,000 people that did this, correct?
Over 9 years, 10,000 people over 9 years who did this. They had a remarkable improvement in their health, not because they had a private appointment with someone like me, but because they got educated.
Mm-hmm. And then took that education and applied it.
Applied it. It's easy, breezy, lemon squeezy. And, you know, I gave a lecture last week into the Dallas, in Dallas, outside Dallas, Texas, and it was to a Texas mental health organization. It was interesting that they wanted someone like me to lecture there, but they learned a lot. And quite frankly, it was good. And a woman came up to me. I'm leaving the facility after my lecture was over, and a woman came up to me. She said, Dr. Glidden, I have to tell you something. She said, I saw you on Operation Freedom Health, like some time ago. I don't know when it was. And I started taking the 90 essential nutrients. And I cleaned up my diet. I said, well, how do you feel? She said, I'm off of all of my prescription meds. I've never felt better in my entire life. She was in her 50s. And she said, for the icing on the cake of wonderfulness, she said, I just completed a 28-day water fast with the church that I'm a member of. I said, well, that's interesting. I didn't even know churches organize things like that. She said, oh, yeah. She said, it's a big thing in our church. I said, okay. Well, what happened? She said, well, I have to tell you a little secret. She said, while I wasn't eating any food, I was taking the 90 essential nutrients every day. I said, well, how did you feel? She said, I had more energy than I've ever had in my entire life. I didn't know what to do with myself. It was one of the best 28 days of my entire life. It's things like that, man. Mm-hmm. It's things like that. And honestly, David, this is the only reason I think that my profession continues to exist. You know, it's because we get results. True. And it's like with the upcoming election, right? Mm-hmm. Trump has to win by a landslide in order to win by a little, right? Mm-hmm. Because they can't steal it if it's beyond a certain point of bigness. They just can't do that.
Right.
So it's the same with my profession. In order for me, you know, not to be in jail, we have to get remarkable results frequently. And we do. And it's not because we're geniuses. It's because we have stumbled upon, historically, it's because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants who discovered these laws of nature and figured them out and applied them. I mean, figuring out the fundamentals of the naturopathic medical approach, it's like figuring out aerodynamics and, you know, how does the wing create lift? And oh my God, what's this? We can fly?
Yeah.
Well, that's a breakthrough based on natural law. Well, the therapeutics that we bring to the table are based on breakthroughs in understanding natural laws as they apply to human anatomy and physiology and metabolism. It's the best kept secret in the 21st century. And the only reason that it is a secret is because Big Pharma don't want none of it.
And as you mentioned, Pete, there are 4 components of the foundation pack, right? So briefly go through each one, and in particular on the mineral supplement.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Many people say, "Well, wait a minute. If there aren't any minerals in the soil, how do you guys get these minerals in this bottle that are so good?" Okay, take it from
That's there. The most fascinating part of this, and I'll talk about it. I'll give myself time at the end here. So 4 components. One is a multivitamin, prebiotic, probiotic, postbiotic, antioxidant-rich supplement called Beyond Tangy Tangerine. It's the most effective multi-nutrient I've seen. It's a powder form. You mix it with liquid. You swallow it down. It's fantastic. Or it comes in tablet form. Part number 2 is a fish oil, essential fatty acid supplement, which gives you 100% of omega-3 and omega-6 essential fats, which your body needs in order to have healthy hormones, healthy skin, healthy brain, healthy, a lot of things, quite frankly, healthy lungs. Essential fats are to the lungs what minerals are to the bones. You need omega-3 essential fats. And also every cell of every body has a wall around it. And that wall is made out of fats. So you need the essential fats in order to keep every single solitary cell in your body healthy. Well, that sounds like a good idea. Would you rather do that or not do that? Yeah, let's do that. Number 3 is the most absorbable calcium supplement I've ever seen. It's over 95, I think, percent absorbable. Most over-the-counter calcium supplements are about 15% absorbable. There's a gigantic difference there. And this supplement is not just calcium, but it's calcium and magnesium and strontium and boron and a lot of bone nutrients, right? Fantastic supplement. However, the cream of the crop, the standard to which all others are compared, is a supplement called plant-derived minerals. It's a 32-ounce bottle of liquid plant-derived mineral supplements, and where they came from is really fascinating. So in dinosaur days, like I'm talking Jurassic Park days, there was a geographical area in which what is now southeast Utah. And now it's the desert, but back in those days it wasn't. There are mountains there and lakes and streams and giant dinosaur plants. And you know what? One of the reasons why the dinosaurs were so big and the plants were so big back in those days, because the atmosphere was very different than it is now. Yeah. And ostensibly, speculatively, the sunlight radiation frequency was also different. But that's another conversation for another time. There's no way to prove that. But nonetheless, it was a different environment than exists now. And because of that different environment, the plants were huge. And that only goes to reason. I mean, if the animal is huge and the animal's eating the plant has to be pretty big in order to make an animal that big, right? So the plants were huge. And in those days, because, no pollution and millions of years of no humans and just natural evolution, as erosion would happen, waterfall on the mountaintops and waterfall on the mountaintops and waterfall on the mountaintops, it erodes the minerals from the mountains. They collect in the streams as mineral sediment in the streams. They flow downstream. They empty out into the plains. And that's where all the plants are growing. So the plants are sucking up this unbelievably minerals from this effluvium from the streams. And it's everywhere all the time. And there's lots of it. Okay. So now we've got massive amounts of minerals in the soil. And then theoretically, and I think this is what happened, most mainstream scientists do, a big asteroid hits outside of the Yucatan Peninsula, throws up a giant dust cloud. All the dinosaurs die because the clouds go dark for 2-3 years and the plants can't grow. So the plants die, the dinosaurs die, everything dies. Okay, so adios, no more plants. But when a plant decomposes, the sugars and the proteins and the cell and the stuff that makes the plant rigid, all that stuff decomposes. But the minerals that are in the plant, those can't decompose. The only thing that'll decompose a mineral is a blast furnace. So as the dinosaur plants, which have been sucking up minerals for millions of years, as they die and decompose, what's left is plant-derived mineral residue in the soil. Well, okay, what happens next? Well, time goes by, and, the soil turns into peat, and then the peat turns into something called humic shale, and then the humic shale gets compressed, and that turns into coal, and then that gets compressed, and that turns into oil, and, here we are. In this particular part of the United States, there was an interesting geological phenomenon that happened, and the evolution from peat to oil stopped at the humic shale level. It stopped. So now we've got humic shale that still exists today in this gigantic deposit in southern Utah. And I went to the mine. I've got a video of it someplace. But the humic shale is interesting. You can stick your hand right into a wall of humic shale. You can grab a fistful of it. That's how crumbly it is. It crumbles right up in your hand. It's really fragile. It's a fragile rock feature, right? And so they mine the humic shale. They take it to a distillation plant where they soak it in NASA grade distilled water. And I'm not kidding. The distillation, the filtration and distillation process that they use to purify the water, it's unbelievable. So they soak the rocks, the humic shale, in this unbelievably purified water, and you can see with your eyes the minerals bubbling off of the rock. It used to be called blooming minerals because when you put the shale in water, the minerals bubble right to the top of the rock, and it looks like they're blooming, right? So this is how we extract the organic million-year-old plant-derived minerals from the humic shale. Okay, great. So now we get rid of the rocks and we put it through another filtration process. So now we have 100% concentrated organic plant-derived minerals, which is the way that nature wants the human body to suck up a mineral. Because when a plant sucks up a mineral, it changes the molecular structure of the mineral, making it easy for the human body to absorb. If the mineral's just lying on the ground and you dig it up and swallow it, not so good. But if a plant metabolizes it, really good. So that's a really long answer to the question, David, but it's needed. It's needed because this isn't just another supplement.
Right.
This is an extremely sophisticated, well thought out process. And there's only one place on planet Earth, maybe, in deep and dark mainland China, right, protected by the government, and they only give the stuff to the government officials. Maybe there's another humic shale deposit there. I don't know. Probably. But the only one that we've found so far anywhere on planet Earth is at this place in southern Utah, and it is the most remarkable supplement. If there was only one supplement I was allowed by law to recommend, that would be it. Because that one bottle, which is like $25, I think, gives you 66% in one serving, 1 ounce, 66% of your body's nutrient needs. It's a gigantic game changer. And if everybody listening to this just got one bottle of plant minerals and took one capful, 1 ounce a day, they would feel a difference within 30 days, and they'd want more. Because the proof of the pudding's in the eating. Right. Pun intended.
Pete, I'd like to thank you for everything you have done, are doing, and will do. Again, the website's operationfreedomhealth.com and leavebigpharmabehind.com. I thank you, folks, for joining us. Now comes the hard part. Action. At a minimum, go to the websites. Get more information. You would put a stake in the heart of the globalist cult by not only consuming the content on those sites, but also getting the products and benefiting from them. But don't just leave it with you. Then you contact your friends and family, and you have them do the same thing. That's the way to stop the globalist cult.
Yeah, 100%.
Go ahead, Steve.
You got to take action. You got to do it. And Dave has a discount because of Bidenomics on his website. I have a discount for his listeners. When you become a subscriber to my information at leavebigpharmabehind.com, when you're checking out, if you enter the coupon code JANDA, all lowercase, 50% discount.
No.
50.
That's big.
Percent discount. And it's forever. So if you have a month-to-month subscription, it's not just the first month, it's every month. It's 50% off. If you get a yearly subscription, it's every year. It's 50% off. So take advantage of this. We're really trying to help here. And if history doesn't repeat itself, it rhymes. If the story's true, not everybody who had the chance to got on board Noah's Ark. True. And they died. Well, they had a chance to get on.
Yeah.
They didn't.
No.
Well, this is the Ark. This is it. The information on my website plus the supplements at Operation Freedom Health, that's a 1-2 punch right into the heart of the globalist cult, because the last thing that these people want is a healthy population.
That's right.
It is the last thing that they want.
That's right.
So take action on your own behalf, and, God willing, and the creek don't rise, Dave and I will see you around campus.
I thank you, Pete, for everything you have done, are doing, and will do. I thank you folks for joining us. Now comes the action part, and that's up to you. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.